Okay, good morning. We're live now. We're for the fourth session of the pitching for the this year's annual Connected Mobility Hub investor event. So I've done this now a few times. So I'm just trying to find it here. I'm gonna very briefly explain what we do. Almost everybody has seen it, so I promise you I'm going to be very brief. Just waiting for Acrobat to open up here. And then we'll jump straight into the pitching sessions. We've got 5 pitching sessions today, and I'll bring each one on screen. We've got 5 minutes for pitching, we've got 5 minutes for questions, and then I'll bring everybody back onto the screen at the end, in case there are any questions that got missed whilst we were going along. So just to explain, and here I've got the screen, so I'll start sharing. So just to explain what we do at the Hub for those of you that haven't seen it. So basically, we're an association of smart mobility startups. There are now 150 smart mobility startups in the association. We're pan-European. We're stronger in Southern Europe. We started off in Spain, and most of the team are in Spain. So Spain's our strongest market, but there's also from Italy, Portugal, Switzerland, quite a few, France, Germany, etc., etc. So we've been doing this now for about 5 years, and we base ourselves on 4 basic columns. So the first thing is visibility. So we try to give visibility to the startups within the association, and we do that by participating in industry events, often running their sort of startup section to a sort of more traditional event, or organizing workshops or pitching sessions or investor events like this one. Just generally trying to give visibility to the startups that are within the association. Then the next part is communities. So we have sort of 3 communities, you could say. On the one side, we have the startups themselves. Within the association, there's a large amount of networking and try to assist in finding synergies between the different startups. Then we have a community of corporates, which we'll go into more detail with the open innovation side, but there's a community of corporates and there's a community of investors. And then we try to put everybody together in the most efficient manner and most productive manner possible. And then open innovation, well, specific to open innovation, we help launch open innovation pilots. There's 75 pilots that we've been involved in to date, and they're basically because we have we know what services the 150 startups offer, and sometimes not just their service, but what that service could be slightly modified towards. We're able to help corporates in finding solutions to the specific problems that they're facing and that they want to resolve through open innovation pilots. And then investment, well, our main annual event is this one. This is the first time it's been online, but we've been doing an annual event for the last 3 years. We've actually recently started doing 2, so there's one that happens normally in November. I think this year it's going to happen as part of the Smart Mobility Congress in Barcelona, if there's a smart mobility physical Smart Mobility Congress in Barcelona in November. If not, I guess it'll be part of the online sessions. And we also have a data room, which we use Startup Includer, where all the startups within the associations, so not just those that are presenting or have been presenting during these pitching sessions, but all the startups with open rounds from within the association are uploaded so that investors at any one point in time can enter and see updated decks and information about different startups. Okay, so that's it from me. I'm not gonna say any more about that. I will now jump straight into the pitching session. So Jaime, if you could start sharing your screen, and I will add you. Oh, just one last thing, sorry, before I do that, I completely forgot. We've done 3 sessions to date. So we did logistics and connected autonomous tech, we did shared mobility, we did electric mobility, and now we're just about to do smart cities and sustainable mobility. You can see all of the, and I'll put the links up in a minute. You can see all of the previous sessions on YouTube, on the Connected Mobility Hub YouTube channel. You can also see it on my personal one if you look up Tom Horsey, if you can't find the other one. And the last part of the investor event, and for us it's quite an important part, is to put together investors and corporates so that they can talk over the opportunities, the investment opportunities that are in front of them. We're going to be doing that on the 3rd of September. So there's a break for August, in which we hope that the different investors will be talking to the startups and getting more of a feel for their projects. And then the idea is that on the 3rd of September, we do a 2-hour investor-to-investor networking session using Remo. If you don't know Remo, you'll love it. We'll obviously be sending the details a week or so before we launch. And then in the afternoon, we'll be organizing one-to-one networking, one-to-one meetings with the startups and the investors that have shown an interest in talking to them. So the idea is that now everybody gets a feel for what the startups are doing with the pitching sessions. During August, they go into a little bit more depth, and in a perfect world, in the 3rd of September, the deals start getting closed and the funding rounds start getting closed as well. So I will now jump on to Jaime and leave him for 5 minutes to present. Then we'll be back for 5 minutes of questions. If you've had any questions at any time, just add them to the comments on the channel. All yours, Jaime.
Okay, thank you, Tom, for introducing us. So this is Jaime, CEO from Wi-Fly, which is the first platform that offers subscriptions for e-bikes in Spain. Why was Wi-Fly born in the first place? Well, basically, there's on the one hand, there's an obvious growing trend where people are growing more aware of climate change and their environment, and they're moving to more sustainable ways of transport. Okay, so you can see in this graphic the trend of e-bike sales, for instance. And on the other hand, when someone tries to change their commute habits right now, he faces one of 2 choices. Either he has pricey alternatives that do not offer like a very good experience in case you're using intensively the service, like daily. Or you, on the other hand, you have the alternative to buy your own e-bike, look for your own insurance, put some maintenance work when needed, look for stores to fix the e-bike. It has a lot of work behind it. So we try to put together the best part of sharing, micromobility sharing, and the best part of ownership. And we provide a full package where you have full availability of your vehicle. You have a much cheaper price, and you know your vehicle will always be in safe conditions to be riding. So also there's a thing we didn't plan, obviously, but that has offered a new opportunity to us, which is COVID. As of now, people are trying to move in individual vehicles to avoid contagion. And we do not only provide individual vehicles, but we also provide the flexibility for the users to give up whenever they want. In case they after 2 months there's a vaccine for COVID, they can give up if they want. And we also offer a very cheap alternative that can compete with metro prices. So all in all, this has awakened a lot of interest internationally. We have seen 2 to 3 companies born in the last months. In Germany, we have Dance, which is from the previous founders of SoundCloud. We have Van Move, which is an e-bike brand that launched a subscription. We have Move, which is a renting brand in France, Veligo, which is offering subscriptions in France as well. And they are now all competing with a former established operator, which is FabFiats. We have also seen this interest in Wi-Fi. In the last months, we launched our projects to the public, and we have been approached by manufacturers, businesses, investors, by the press. So we're seeing a lot of interest. And this has allowed us to reach agreements with Globo and KFC, so they can provide special prices to their employees, to their riders, to their affiliates, and we can have a zero cost on marketing through channeling through them. We're also in ongoing conversations with Vodafone and Deliveroo and with manufacturers that would allow us to scale the business much faster. So basically, what point are we now? We are at the point where we have developed our full technology. We have tested it with the first bunch of users. We have now 8 active users, which are operating perfectly normally. Everything's working fine, and we are now looking to get our first 200 users. Okay, so the market size is more than enough to get these 200 users. We have basically taken some niche markets, we have added them all up, and we have taken 1%, which is the percentage at which people are moving in e-bikes now. And this gives us a total addressable market of approximately 100,000 users, of which we expect to get at the maximum 3,000 users in Madrid. So we have also run our pilot test, and we have actually like real metrics. We have a cost per lead of 19.8 euros, and we have estimates of the CAC and lifetime value, which are those you can see in the screen. And we have also raised 60,000 euros in a first round that allow us to have a 10 months runway and 4,000 euros. So basically, we are looking for 120,000 euros that will be fully invested in e-bikes, and a small part maybe in marketing, but most of it is going to be invested in e-bikes. So in case it doesn't work, the exit is quite clear. And we have a team that is we are 3 founders who have experience in startups and everything, and we have an inter-volunteer which is helping us. Most interesting, we have a board of advisors, which is where we have a lot of entrepreneurs that have already created and sold their companies, and also people who are working in mobility right now, who have all the experience and knowledge. And that would be basically it. So everyone interested, they can reach us at this number or this email in the last slide of the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jaime. So we can jump to questions if there are any from the audience. I was trying to put the links to the previous sessions on all the different platforms, and I got it a little bit wrong. One of them got cut halfway through. So if anybody does have any questions, please post them and we'll ask. What I'd like to go through is, okay, so I saw that your CPL was 20 euros basically, yeah, and your CAC was 92. So yeah, so you've got a conversion rate of approximately 20%. What do you actually count as a lead, and what are you doing to reduce that level?
Yeah, so it's not exactly like that, because there's a step in between, which is we're offering free trials for our leads. So this increases a little bit our CAC. Okay, so the CAC includes not only the advertising expenditure, but also the cost of making free trials. So the conversion rates we had was actually pretty good. The leads were very qualified. We got the conversion rate just on conversations with our leads, asking them if actually they would be interested in subscribing to the services, and it was close to 50%. I don't think whenever we will be operating full scale, I don't think the conversion rate will be 50%. But I also hardly believe the cost per lead is gonna be much lower, as we're gonna do remarketing and many other things that aren't done right now. So all in all, I think it's a good proxy, but we still have to run some tests to see the conversion rate and everything.
Okay. All right. So you know, it's but the CPL. What are you counting as right now as a lead?
Oh.
So the conversions to be seen, but what are you actually counting as a lead? And what are you doing to decrease that value? And then I'll put a question on the screen that's coming.
So the leads we obtained were they came from a campaign where we were directing all the traffic to our website. In the website, we were showing our concept, which is something pretty new. So it's important to inform the users what we're doing and how it works. And at the very end, we had a form where they could ask for a free trial, as I was telling you before. And this is what we counted as a lead. All those people that subscribed to a free trial, and that was.
But it was off the landing page. It was off the main page. It wasn't actually a specific campaign. So obviously there's a hell of a lot of optimizing you can do there. Okay, great. Well, I'll put Stephen's question, which is a question about a question, really. But if you could just well, you can read it and answer.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I read the question as well?
No. I mean, everybody can see. It's just for you.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Stephen, thanks for your question. Basically, the main concerns of the investors were first about fleet management, because basically, you have some plans that can be left after 1 month, so on a monthly basis. And this creates quite a difficult system of fleet management. So what are we going to do to manage all these fleets? We have reached agreements with fleet management operators that allow us to take profit of the fleet that is not being used at the moment. We have also engaged in partnerships with second-hand sale platforms. And then we have options like making some special offers if we at some point we have a lot of fleets that is not being used. We also offer like options for the users to buy their e-bikes in case, let's imagine someone just subscribes, he wants to try e-bikes for 1 month, 2 months, and then he wants to buy the e-bike. At this point, he can exercise his purchase option. And that way he wouldn't be returning the e-bike. And we've also thought about adding some shorter term rentals in the platform, so we can manage our fleet more effectively. And another very common question is about growth. Basically, this business has one problem, which is getting financing of the e-bikes, and we're now exploring different alternatives. Our main scenario, our central scenario, would be to partner with a bank. We already had contact with some of them who are interested, and they just want us to have some traction before engaging with us. And besides this scenario where the bank would be putting the financing for the e-bikes and we would be operating everything, there are other alternatives like being a platform as a service and engaging in deals with local dealers of e-bikes, so they can just upload their e-bikes to the platform, and we can charge a fee for getting the customer, so the customer would be ours, for managing everything, building the platform and everything. This wouldn't be like very profitable, but it would allow us to grow very, very fast. And at some point, if we have a large consumer base, then everything comes afterwards very easily. Those are the main questions, I would say.
Okay. Well, we ran out in the 5 minutes. There was one other question that came in, but it came in on a private chat. I've asked them to add it to LinkedIn so that we can all see it. But we'll bring it. We'll ask it at the end. So thank you very much, Jaime. I'll bring Alex on screen, and we can jump to his pitch. If you just start sharing, you're showing our screen at the moment. It's gone. Alex, if you could just start sharing the screen that you want to share. And then while you're sorting that out, I'll just remind everybody that the online networking and one-to-one meeting part of the event is scheduled for the 3rd of September, and the link is on the Connected Mobility Hub website. If you click on Investor Event, then it will take you to a part of the screen where you can click on Investor Form. Now I will get rid of that, and I will add in this, and I'll disappear off, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. All you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Welcome, moto lovers. My name is Alex Martin. I'm the CEO and one of the 3 founders of MiMotoParking.com. MiMoto Parking is the first parking worldwide exclusive for motorbikes and light mobility. We believe in sustainable mobility and how it can impact positively in our cities. Why is a good moment for our sector? Motorbikes and light mobility are social distancing friendly. It's easier to rent low-cost premises, and our flexibility allows us to adapt to changing economies scenarios. We understand the sustainable mobility as a balance between public transportations, car, motorbikes, bicycles, and scooters. Cars are covered with public cars parking, but what about motorbikes and light mobility? There are not any specific or enough space to park them. Massification and pollution have led city council in Spain and in Europe to limit circulation for cars in the city centers, which means that motorbikes and light mobility are on the rise. But as a response, city regulations in the main cities are banning sidewalk parking, leading to motorbikes parking becoming a major challenge. MiMoto Parking is not a traditional parking. We have reinvented the concept of parking by adding artificial intelligence technology for 100% autonomous management. This is the most important point of our project. Our motto is quality of service, safety, and comfort. We offer indoor parking, flat level access, extra large parking slots, individual lockers for our customers' equipment, clean and bright facilities, and open 24/7. All our parkings are provided with charging stations for electric vehicles. Our rates are flexible, adapted to any customer's need, and low cost. Because we are the first company to offer this service, we have no direct competitors. Our indirect competitors are nowadays public car parkings, street parkings, and private garage, but none of them offer the advantage that we do for motor riders. Our business model lies in opening many small parkings in different locations in the city centers. We want to bring our customers close to his or her final destination. We rent the premises. We do not spend money in purchasing real estate, so that we can move from one location to another according to the market response or any given circumstances. The financial structure of the company is based on scale economies. We have no labor or social cost. The structure is minimal. We aim at creating a network of 40 parkings in the next 4 years. Each one of these parkings will generate income through flexible parking rates, vending machines, washing machines, advertisement, and big data, and through the franchise system we have designed. Currently, we have 2 operating parkings in Spain with around 200 customers. The platform has proven efficient, customer reviews are outstanding, and the system is ready for expansion. MiMoto Parking has opened its first investment round, by means of which it wishes to gather 125,000 euros. This round will allow for the opening of 2 parkings in Madrid, and also to implement our franchise system. The three founding partners are motorcyclists. We speak the same language of our customers, which is a great advantage. Begoña has a degree in tourism. She is 42 years old, and she has over 17 years experience in real estate. She is the expansion manager of MiMoto Parking. Juan is 43 years old. He is an interior designer with over 20 years of experience, and he is the responsible for design and renovation works at MiMoto Parking. As I said, my name is Alex, and I'm the CEO of MiMoto Parking. I'm 41 years old, and I am an industrial engineer with over 18 years of experience. I have large experience as managing director for international projects. Here you can find my contact details. Feel free to contact me if you have more information. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Alex. I've got a quick question for you while we're waiting for any that might come in from the audience. So, one of the big issues, and particularly with something of this nature, which is a physical infrastructure, is scalability. Is one of the issues for obviously investors.
Yeah.
You've spoken about 40 parkings, that your plan is to be in 40. And you've talked about the 125,000 which you're looking for to set up 2, if I remember correctly. So extrapolating those figures, we're talking about 2.4 million more or less, which is needed for 40 car parks. What sort of time frame are you looking for that? What's the additional scalability from that point? What are your operating expenses going to be for you're talking about scale, economies of scale. How much are they at the moment? How much will they reduce to? If you could just give us focus on that specific problem, basically scalability.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the model is very scalability model. We right now we need 50,000 euros to invest to refurbishing a local premises. We need 1 month. It's very easy to do it, very fast, and we don't have a labor cost to operate the parkings. We need a general structure that we care the parking, but it's the intelligence of the parking manage the access control, the security, the payments, and everything there. In that terms, we want, with this round, the investment round, we want to open 2 parkings in Madrid. We want to validate the model in Madrid as well. And after that, we will open a new round so we can expand faster in other cities as well. So that's the plan that we have right now.
Okay, but just going back to the general scalability issue. So right now, how many parkings do you have operating?
Right now we have 2 in Alicante. We want to open 2 more. We will need to increase 1 operation manager to manage 15 parkings. So the general structure is minimal. We have a subcontractor, a collaborator that we have contract to manage the 24 hours incident in the parkings, because the parkings, when they feel something strange, they send us a signal. So for that collaboration with the users, we have a contractor, that manage that part. But for MiMoto Parking, the structure is minimal. We will need increase, as I say, 1 person, each one, if 15 parkings.
Okay. So your total team for the 40 40 parkings that you've spoken about would in effect be 6 the 3 that you have at the moment plus three additional stuff.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. The general cost, the general cost can keep a constant in the phase of expansion. So that's a very good point for us. In the meantime that we are opening a new parkings, we can keep, almost the constant cost, the general cost.
Okay, and then just one other question from a user perspective. So obviously, as you say, there are no competitors, which is often a bit scary because if there are no competitors, it looks like there's no market. But your competing products are probably predominantly parking on the street. So from a user perspective, why would they pay to be using a MiMoto Parking compared to parking on the street? What's the key differentiator there? Is it security?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. The key is that people that can buy an expensive bike is very dangerous to live in the street. Is at night. In Spain, 180 motorbikes are stolen every day. So the people that use right now bigger bikes, they are open to pay to have the bike in a comfort and safety place. That's our point. Also, the city councils are working to implement the payment street parking for motorbike as the cars. So Alicante, Gijón, Madrid is coming, and Barcelona, they will remove from car parking, street parkings for cars, they will remove a space to create a special and specific park lots for motorbikes, but they will be payment parking. They will pay to park there.
Yeah, that's obviously a game changer, and I can say from our experience with Mox, for example, as a last mile logistics company, that there have been instances of a motorbike parking outside a house, the rider going inside to drop off food. So literally, we're talking 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes coming out, and the motorbike's not there. It's been picked up, put into a van, and driven off. So there is an issue. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Alex. So I'm going to jump on to Eduardo, and he's going to talk us through Idoneo. And I will now disappear off, Eduardo, and it's all yours for the next 5 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Well, my name is Eduardo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Idoneo.com. As you know, society has evolved, and we want to buy everything online, and we no longer want to buy stuff. What we want is to pay for the right to use things. Right? That trend has come to the automotive industry, and it's called car leasing. In Idoneo, what we do is we sell car leasing contract 100% online. And we do it using a business model that we all know very well because we use it daily to buy food, to book holiday, restaurant, flights. That's it. A web where I can find all the car leasing options in Spain, compare them, and book them through the web. That web exists and it's called Idoneo.com. We are operating in a big market growing and with the room to grow. In Europe, there is 15 million new cars sold that go to the market, and 60% of those goes to the market using one of the lease option that they are there. But if you go to Spain, that figure drops dramatically. We are talking that only 20% of the cars in Spain are sold on lease, and that's if we include the car rental company, because if we talk just about consuming, it's just 8% of the consumer buy the car on lease. But that's changing, and Spain will catch up with Europe. And actually, the last 4 years, car leasing in Spain grew by a multiple of 5. The reason is because the perfect storm is brewing for car leasing in Spain. People don't know what car to buy. because if you buy a diesel, now they are banned from the main cities, and probably will be banned from the rest of the small ones in the short future. Petrol will follow on, so probably in a short period of time, you won't be allowed to use the petrol on the street, right? People love electric cars, want to buy the electric cars, but they are just too expensive. And the depreciation is huge because the technology evolution is fast. So a car bought today will cost nothing tomorrow. And the most important part, most of the people in Spain live in flats and park the car on the street, so they just can't recharge the car, right? So our solution to that situation is don't buy a car, just rent it for 3 years and change the car every 3 years, choosing the best technology for the moment. What makes us different from the rest is technology. Today, in Idonio, you can hire a car on lease in just 5 minutes using only your smartphone. You need to understand that to do the same right now in Spain, you need to go to a dealer or to a bank with your payroll, with your tax certificate, with your ID, give it all them, fill up all the bureaucracy and wait for days or even weeks for the bank to do a credit scoring on you and approve or deny the operation. And if you are approved, then you need to come back to read, fill, and sign the contract. We believe that's something from the past. We really think, and we are changing the market, and we think that the hiring a car on lease has to be something as easy as booking a holiday, something that you do from the comfort of your sofa, and you get the car delivered to your doorstep. We started operation last year, second quarter. So in the first 9 months of operation, we sold 350 car leads online. That's the average of new car sold by a dealer in Europe, and we achieved it in just 9 months, right? The target for this year, including the impact of the COVID, and yes, we've been heavily impacted by the COVID, is doing 600 contracts this year and go for 2,000 next year, right? We almost had to stop operation in Spain because the lockdown, all the dealers were closed and we were not allowed to deliver the cars, but now we are coming back and we are seeing a strong increase on the demand of leasing. We've done this thanks to a fantastic team, people as my co-founder David Eguizabal, which is a guru of the digital marketing, people as Zara and Lucia that they have more than 20 years of experience on the business of selling cars online, and myself, I'm engineer, mastered by the London Business School, an entrepreneur with exit on my belt. Well, the reason why we are here is because we have right now opened a round of $500,000 that we want to use to improve the product, increase the sales team, and increase as well the marketing budget. I will be more than happy to discuss with you about the project if you want to know further. Here you have my data in case you need to reach me out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. So I'm gonna take this off. I've got a feeling my connection's not going very well. So if the volume gets stopped or the audio gets stopped at any point, let me know. So you were saying that there's been a 5x growth in the market over the last 4 years. I assume from the sort of macro trends that you were talking about, so people uncertain about what vehicle to purchase, probably the trend towards private transportation as a preferred method of transportation to public because of lower risk of infection, that we will see a similar rate of growth over the next few years. What are your projections for your company within that?
Yeah, well, as what I say, our target this year is 600. We expect to sell 2,000 next year. Why? Because what we have seen is that first, the COVID actually has helped to the leasing business, because first, people want to buy online, and we are selling fully online. That's help. And second, yes, the uncertainty on the market, it's not just the legislation uncertainty or the technology uncertainty. Right now is your personal life. You don't, we are scared what's going to happen, right? And at least help with that. So actually, what is happening now is that there is an explosion on leads. I mean, and literally, we stop marketing, and we have more leads than we can cope with them, right? Unfortunately, the conversion rate has dropped. So there's a lot of people with interest, but still they are not in the position to buy the car, right? So our forecast, our expectation is that the interest is going to stay there, the leads are going to be high, but the conversion rate will grow as people start investing again, right?
Okay, but that brings me to a very interesting point, and I know that I've had a discussion with you in the past about subscriptions, about renting a car on a subscription basis, as BP do, rather than passing to a long-term lease. I would imagine that conversion rate that you say is dropping off is related to the leasing idea. So taking on a long-term lease in a situation of financial instability is probably concerning to users. However, by in effect renting a car on a monthly basis as a subscription, I would imagine is of more interest in those circumstances. Yeah. This was a model that you were going to launch. It sounds you haven't mentioned it to date, so I don't know if it's something that you've put on ice, or if it's something that you're still intending to launch, because it does seem to me that it would fit the current market climate.
Yeah, we had the same thought that you expressed, and the reality is, because right now we have subscription in our web, right? Many of our suppliers, they have created subscription plans due to the COVID. So because we all expected that people will be afraid of committing to a long-term contract, reality is that there is not demand for them. Actually, we are not selling them, even if we have them. Because at the end of the day, the cost of a subscription, let's say, committing to a monthly base, is too high for the market. So people prefer to commit to a longer term. And actually, I mean, we have the normal contract is 3 years. We have 2 years, and we had in the past 12 months, but the reality, we didn't sell them. We didn't sell them because people, right now, people is more, let's say, in the evolution is using leasing as an alternative to buy the car, right? So the market for people that need the car 3, 4, 6 months is much more reduced than the other one. So we have it there. It's in our portfolio. Our vision is that we'll work with the market. So the product, we have it, then we'll just wait for the market to be in a position to start buying the product, right? Because as a vision, we're in Idonia, we sell any kind of I mean, for us, it's transforming the product car in a service. So right now, what the market is buying is 3 years. Okay, that's what we deliver. Next year is 2 years. We will. In 2 years' time is months. Then we will. So everyone will go to Idonia and find then the length they need.
Absolutely fantastic. And then just one other question I had, there's none that come in from the audience yet. Everything you were talking about was Spain. I'm just wondering what your plans are, or if there are any plans for international expansion.
Yeah. We actually were launching in Portugal, but just in the month of the lockdown, so that has been delayed. Now we are targeted to open in end of this year, and we want to go to a major country next year, right? We have in mind 2 options. We haven't yet decided. One is UK, the other one is France. Very different market, very different situations, but there are 2 markets we know well, right? So the good thing is that because we are quite based on technology, I mean, we already have the technology. So regarding scalability, we are in a position to scale fast. And to open up a country is not a big investment for us right now, right? Because we need to invest on marketing, we need to invest on sales team, but somehow that's a variable cost for us, which is just
Well,
right.
no, and I would imagine that the providers of the leases in many situations are actually the same. No,
Yeah. Actually, we are planning to go to Portugal because one of our providers is really helping out with that. They want us to start there, so they're making things easy for us. So that's as well the idea for the rest of the countries. But yeah, definitely we come to the same point. I mean, the marketing actually is exploding in Spain, whether in other countries a much more mature market where you need to compete with the established companies that have been working there for years. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much, Eduardo. If anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to ask them, and we'll bring them on at the end. If not, for the moment, I will jump to Bilal. So thank you very much. And here we go, Bilal. If you just start sharing the presentation on your, there we go. Yeah. And I will leave you for the next 5 minutes. It's all yours.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is Bilal Khan. I am the VP of Marketing and Business Development for Kido Dynamics. At the core, Kido Dynamics is a big data analytics organization focused when we specialize in mobility. Essentially, what we do is we make it easier for people to understand how people are moving, when they're moving, and where they're moving to. And the broader idea is that we want to democratize big data and its use in the mobility sphere. So, to begin with, I think there are two very beautiful quotes that we find really interesting. And the first is about, we think that the major innovation or the inventions in transportation is probably not going to be about what people are creating, but really about the choices that people have for moving. And I think it's no surprise when we say that smartphone is probably one of the most fundamental technologies right now being used for transportation in the 21st century. And this is essentially the focus of our innovation or the work that we do. So we essentially use mobile data to run mobility analytics in different countries. Now, looks very easy, but mobile data, in fact, is very complex. And what we have seen is that, just to prepare this data, a lot of companies, about 80% of the time that they spend is really to clean this data and just trying to get it in shape or in some sort of a shape where they can ultimately create something of value or something which they can understand. Now, quite clearly, this is a very big cost for the companies because normally the people who you hire to do this, it's about $104,000 per year. And our goal or our job or the problem that we are solving is that we are basically increasing the portion of the orange time in this picture. So we want you to spend 80% of the time making those valuable decisions, which is going to make the lives of the people easier. What we do and how we do this is that we sign big data analytics agreements with telecom organizations across the world. We place our solutions behind the firewalls of the telecom organizations. You can see it from this picture over here. So we practically reside within the environment of the telecom, and we take the data directly from the source. And once we kind of take the data directly from the source, which is anonymized, of course, we run our analytics, we put it in the private cloud, and then the anonymized and the aggregated data is made available for our customers to view or whatever the agreement that we have with them. Now, this technology is patent pending. You can see the number over here, and these are on the right-hand side. You can see some of the customers that we are already working with. Essentially, it's a three-step process. Like I said, that the first step is the cleaning and filtering of the data, which was where most of the traditional companies are spending a lot of their time, about 80%, as we said. So we do this automatically. So we clean this data, and we only take out the essential element which is needed for running the analytics. The second part is, of course, we fill in the gaps, because the kind of data that we use in this case is called CDRs, called detailed records. Now, there are a lot of gaps there, and and we use quantum mechanics and social physics concepts there to kind of fill in the gaps of what people have actually been doing. And then the third part is we use a lot of machine learning to project this data onto the actual infrastructure of a particular city, and just to give people a more visual idea of how people are moving. We can actually do this, like we've basically made the product in a very scalable way, so you can actually get the results delivered to you in the form of a report, which is on demand. This is really when we are targeting the very small SMEs and the SOHO clients, where they just pay a very small fee and a report is emailed to them. Of course, that's very standardized. Or they can just directly subscribe to our visualization platform, depending on where they are, and they can have access to their particular section of the data. And if they are really advanced clients where they have their own visualization tools, then they can naturally set up APIs with us, and they can get all this information delivered on the times that we on the frequency that we agree with them. Right now, as we speak, we are in 6 countries. It's Spain, Portugal, Brazil, Kuwait, Qatar, Malaysia, Switzerland, and Sweden. We've about 14 full-time employees, and we've got about 25 paying customers in these regions. And of course, it's growing. So one thing that you need to understand over here is that we do not pay anything for getting access to the data. The data, we sign a revenue share agreement with the telecom operator, and the paying customers are really on the right side of this equation, who pay a fee for getting access to these analytics. This is how our sales projections looked in 2018. Of course, you would see nothing because that's when we were developing the product, but now we are quite on track to gaining momentum in all these markets. If in a nutshell, if we want to understand is what we want to do is, so we want to become the Bloomberg for mobility data. That's what we want to do, and because we think there's a very huge market, there are 3 verticals that we basically target. It's of course the smart city and the transportation potential, which is about $60 billion. The tourism sector, which is another $53 billion, and then there is retail and out-of-home advertising, which is another $45 billion that we are talking about. So this is the kind of market that we are targeting. We just closed our pre-series A round. In fact, very recently, last week, we closed the round. And in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll be looking for a series. We'll be going for a Series A, and the amount that we are looking for is 3 million euros. So that's it. This is these are my details. You can reach me on my email or the company email that's written over there, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
I had actually taken it off screen, so I'm terribly sorry for that, but we've gone over time. So Bilal, so just heard that you've just closed the round. Well, that's the problem with doing these online events over multiple weeks, right? Unfortunately. But if you could just talk us through, you said you had 25 paying customers.
Yeah.
That you didn't pay for the data from the telcos.
Yeah.
I assume that means that you're on a revenue sharing basis with the telcos for the use of the data.
Yes.
Could you give an idea of the kind of values of per contract on a sort of MRR or ARR basis, just so we can get an idea of the traction?
So right now, some of the area where we've had major successes have been in the transportation sector, right? And once we are talking about the value per client, let's just say let's go with that figure first. We are talking anywhere between $40,000 to $50,000 per year per client there. So that's one thing. Now. But then if we move into sectors such as tourism or location intelligence, so we have right now bidding for some of the contracts which go up to about $300,000 a year. So those are big ticket items. In terms of ARR, so our annual recurrent revenue as part of our total revenue is only about 20 to 25%. Now, that's a very good question, because that's exactly what we want to change. So we want this equation to essentially flip. The good news is that most of, let's just say, even the 75% that we are doing through one-off projects, we are doing it with recurring customers. So maybe we are not selling it to them like, okay, it's not like one customer paying us, but it's like the same customer coming back to us again and again. But we've had a significant, or let's just say, switch in our strategy, where we are now only pitching for a subscription-based service, rather than saying, we don't say no to projects, but we start the discussion with a subscription-based in mind.
Okay, and what's the, why aren't more operators signing up to your service? Why are they signing up to begin with, and why aren't more of them not signing up? If they're monetizing data that otherwise they wouldn't be monetizing, it's money for free, right?
Yeah, well, it is money for, but then again, we have to understand what we are dealing with. So we are dealing with data over here. Now, a lot of the reluctance that we see from the side of the operators, I mean, so we've talked about the 6 that we already have, but there are about 3 or 4 other discussions going on. It's mostly we need to get past the initial barrier of, okay, this is a secure way of running analytics where we will not be breaching any, let's just say, any data protection laws. So I think that is one area where we see why, let's just say, the pace is sort of slow. The other reason, because some of the operators want to get into this themselves rather than getting a third party to do it for them. So I think those are 2 of the biggest reasons why, let's just say, operators are reluctant at first. But what we have seen is that over the past 1 year, we have almost signed 3 contracts within the same year. I mean, in the first year, we didn't do as much. So we see that is changing fast. And yes, you're right. The business model is quite compelling, where we are doing essentially most of the work, and it's a revenue share for them. And now we see that operators are warming up to the idea, and we are having those discussions in different regions.
And I would imagine, I'm just guessing, but I would imagine that a number of the clients that you actually have on board, the paying customers, actually come through the operators in the first place.
So actually, we cover that in our contract. So it's a 2-way sort of a sales process. We, when it comes to the location intelligence and marketing, or the OOH industries, normally the operators have a better grip of the market than us, because physically we are not there. I mean, we are expanding, of course. But in a lot of countries, we are not there. But when it comes to sectors like transportation or in-building analytics, that is where we sort of take the lead. And our contract covers that. Like, okay, we can also sell, the operator can also sell, and our revenue share is, of course, different in terms of who brings the client, basically, right? So we do that. But on transportation, we are mostly bringing the clients. On the location intelligence side or marketing side, the operators are the ones who are bringing most of the clients.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, I don't have any additional questions for the moment, so I'll let you go. Bring Boyd on. If anybody else has any questions they'd like to comment, please feel free to upload it to whatever platform you're on, and we'll take them at the end. Let me see, I get rid of you here, and I bring Boyd on here, and I add that. And Boyd, I'll disappear off and I'll leave you for the next 5 minutes. You're muted. You're muted, Boyd, sorry. Yeah, there you go, perfect. And now I'll leave you for the next 5 minutes. Now it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for participating in this event. Iomob stands for the Internet of Mobility, and we're enabling a mobility marketplace in any app. The problems we're tackling that everyone on this call certainly is well aware of is sort of the growing complexity and fragmentation of the mobility marketplace, which is disrupting transportation and mobility as we know it, but also creating significant opportunity for entrenched legacy operators, new entrants, and established companies looking to enter into the mobility space. What we do from a tech perspective is we've built our own proprietary intermodal routing algorithms, which become a very fundamental feature and a USP for Iomob. We combine those with a growing amount of mobility services, public and private, shared, so micromobility, scooters, bikes, taxis, ride hailing, rail, public transit. We integrate that seamlessly, and we enable that via an SDK to go into enterprise established corporations in transport, travel, and other services that would like to add a mobility marketplace to their user experience for a whole range of reasons, which I'll share with you now, as a matter of fact. So what do we do from a more holistic ecosystem perspective is we recruit pan-European, as we're primarily European focused for the moment, pan-European mobility services and aggregators of services like taxi aggregators. We integrate them into our platform. We have built our own API so we can quickly consume those APIs of those providers. We have our own proprietary journey planner, which combines the routing. We deliver that via an SDK, and we deliver it to the clients that I've mentioned, which include rail, public transit, and several others I can't go into yet in this more public forum, but any investors on who'd like to know where we're at with traction with other clients, I can share that with you in private. How do we go to market is specifically recruiting these tier one, very large demand driving clients like a rail operator. Our first client was Renfe, for example. One of our next clients is LNER in the UK, London Northeast Railway. These are very big demand driving clients. An example, Renfe generates something like 500 million passenger journeys a year across their whole network, high-speed rail, intercity rail, and suburban rail. That big demand drives interest from mobility services who want access to Renfe's customers. Once we have that ecosystem functioning for one client, the way we built our architecture decoupled, anytime any mobility service, say a Voi scooter company, is connected to Iomob, that vehicle, their vehicles are accessible to any user of any app connected to Iomob. So Renfe helps us generate the connectivity of all these mobility services, but then we can further monetize that marketplace by offering this plug and play SDK to a whole range of tier two type clients that maybe drive less demand and maybe are less important to a tier or Voi, but they help us monetize our software and our integrations. Some examples of live deployments or projects we've done include deployment with Renfe, as I mentioned, our new project with LNER in the UK, and a really exciting project we're developing with Skånetrafiken, which is a Swedish regional transit authority, where we're delivering our SDK into their own public transit app, and then planning to deploy this SDK with several other third-party MOS operators, as well as other organizations like a university or others in that region who are interested in offering mobility to their employees or their customers. How does Iomob position ourselves in the market? So we're in the mobility as a service market, which is exploding. It's called MOS. There's a lot of different approaches to it, but what I've just described in terms of our go-to-market strategy is actually something that fundamentally differentiates Iomob from every other player in the market. So we solve the two-sided market problem that a lot of platform plays have by going to market via these major tier one clients with significant demand who have significant users themselves, and then help us drive the growth of the mobility marketplace. So we resolve supply and demand through this path to market, and we embrace, like the Skånetrafiken example illustrates, a more open approach and a decoupled approach where SDK can insert into any player who wants to offer a MOS type solution to their customers. So this leads, of course, to our business model. 3 revenue streams. The first 2 are already starting very early to generate revenue for us. The first is obviously a licensing fee for the full platform, including the SDK. The second is a piece of the transaction fees that happen within mobility services connected through our platform. And finally, this hasn't happened yet, but there's an exciting new development regarding our plans for a mobility data marketplace, which I might have time to share with you in a minute. I won't go into details on our financial projections, but what I will mention is that you will see something important here. We believe that the real long tail scalable revenue for Iomob is not so much in the licensing revenue, but actually in the transaction revenue that happens on our platform. As we get more and more tier 1 and tier 2 clients using our ecosystem, we will grow the use of these mobility services in our platform and monetize those. Our team, we have 3 PhD co-founders, myself, and then 2 PhDs in computer science. We have collectively 7 startups, I think 3 exits. None of them have been enough to make us wealthy beyond our wildest dreams, but we're very optimistic about Iomob. And I want to say beyond our core tech team, we also recently, over the last several months, brought in 2 very senior business development experts in mobility, which are Scott Shepard and Adrian Ulysse. Adrian was at Moss Global, which is the WIM solution, the #1 B2C consumer brand in Moss today. Speaking of the size of the Moss market and where we're going, so you have, of course, a total transportation market. There's a rough estimate by 2030, $94 billion will be spent on Moss platforms. So over the next 10 years, and Iomob's goal is to have 10% of those transactions happen across our ecosystem. That doesn't mean that we ourselves will generate $9 billion in 2030, but $9 billion will be transacted over our network, of which we're targeting around 5% or around 500 million euros in revenue by 2030. Our investors to date, so like the last team, we are closing our late seed round next month, but we've already started dialogue around a Series A, which we're targeting for Q1 2021. We actually already have a soft commit for $2.5 million for the Series A. And so the purpose of this conversation is about opening dialogue with other investors who might want to join us on the Series A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Boyd. Sorry, I was trying not to interrupt. So one of the things obviously that you weren't able to go into there was this, and I know you've been very active actually during COVID-19 in terms of H2020 projects. There's obviously a huge amount of public financing for the European Green Deal. I don't know, each government seems to be coming out with new plans for regarding environmental issues, and sustainable mobility is one of them, obviously. So could you just talk us through the latest H2020 consortium that you've formed part of? What is it? Where's it going? How long is it? Who are the other partners, et cetera, et cetera? I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Actually, I think I have a slide in here. This will work for that, to answer that.
Okay,
so
wait. I could then bring it back.
Okay. So this, if you can throw that slide on.
Yeah, I have. It's on now.
Okay. So we have a 4-stage path to our big vision, which is called the Internet of Mobility, which would be a middleware layer of the internet where any vehicle, public, private, shared, autonomous, electric, connected to our back end can be discovered, routed, booked, and paid for by any user of any app connected to Iomob. So if you go to our path of, as I mentioned, we believe the long tail scalable revenue streams will come from percentage of transactions. Then you see what we're trying to do is reduce dependence on selling of software licenses and grow the mobility ecosystem and the usability of that as a plug and play for any enterprise that would like to offer to their user base. So to get to that ultimate vision, a fundamental building block is opening our APIs and creating a seamless way for all these startups and established organizations who are entering the mobility marketplace to easily connect to this mobility marketplace. We've had this vision for, since we started 3 years ago, initially in our garage, and we just got an accelerant. And that is last week, we were informed that a consortium that are the primary tech provider for Horizon 2020 funding with SEAT, with ATM, the Transit Authority of Barcelona, Factual Consulting out of Barcelona as well, and several other players. We will be building a mobility data marketplace. We call it the Wikipedia Mobility Data, leveraging Galileo, EU's satellite network, to support the initiative of EU to increase their digital sovereignty. So they want to reduce our dependence in all ecosystems, including mobility, on GPS technology from US tech companies. So our project is for Iomob to actually do phase 2 and phase 3, start to build that community around an alternative open API and data reporting structure that we can use to integrate mobility services and then to share selected data with different private operators as well as the public transit authorities.
Okay, fantastic. And then just one other thing that you sort of mentioned, but I don't think was clear, is that because you have the white label strategy, one of the things that's very interesting is that there is the possibility for a train operator, a public transport authority, whatever it be, that already has an application in the market, in effect to white label an Iomob version, update their application, and all of their user base with that application installed would automatically and immediately have the Iomob application installed. I'm not sure if anybody's actually done this, to any of your customers have actually done this to date, but I know it exists as an opportunity. Could you sort of talk us through that maybe?
Yeah, in fact, our first project with Renfe was a full white label, full stack with a new app built by Iomob. And in the process of doing that, we discovered that the market, what they really need is an SDK from Iomob that can insert into their existing app. Now, no offense to anyone from Renfe on this call, but most people know that Renfe's UX and app and web experience isn't very good or hasn't been. So Renfe did want to create a new white label version of a standalone app, but in most cases, most of our clients actually want to do exactly what you said. They have invested a lot of money in their own app. They have hundreds of thousands or millions of users of that app, which helps us solve that two-sided market problem I mentioned earlier, because we don't have to go out with our clients to recruit and do new acquisition of customers. They're already customers. What we allow a rail operator like LNER to do is to create a truly seamless door-to-door mobility experience, factoring in their own rail, but solving the first and last mile for their customers, and even doing things like bundling them together in a single purchase for an entire door-to-door journey. So absolutely, that's a big advantage that we offer, and as part of our differentiator, instead of trying to be B2C and offering our own app to end users, what we do is primarily focus on this more scalable SDK that's really almost plug and play for existing legacy operators. There are clients like a corporation who wants to use MOS to manage their own employee mobility, who don't necessarily even have an existing app, in which case they might need to use a white label version of the full app.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry, I had something in my throat. Great. Well, what I'll do, that's the end of my alarm just went off, so that's the end of our questions. I haven't seen any come in. I'll just bring everybody on screen. There was one question for Jaime that was sent privately. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. So Jaime, this actually came from Eduardo, funny enough. But he was asking how you dealt with weather seasonality, and if you see, how do you deal with summer rents that disappear in winter?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, this is part of the problem we were talking about before, the fleet management. So we have all the options I presented before. And basically what we're going to do is our target user is not someone who is not a seasonal user, let's say. We have 3 different plans. We have gold plans where people can unsubscribe every month. But then we have 1-year commitment and also 3-year commitments in the plans. So once we get a bike that is already used, we can either offer it at a discount to those who want to make long-term rentals, or we can also use this fleet for, we can pass it to the fleet manager, who they target B2B. So what they do is they use e-bikes that are not being used at the moment, and to take some profit out of it, they target let's say couriers or people who need, businesses who need the bikes, so they can pay us a fee for the excess fleet we have. And basically, it's a difficult system, but combining all of those, it's a little bit how we deal with seasonality. We know that the gold plan may have seasonality, not only for winter, autumn and everything, but also we know that some people may want to try for 1 month, 2 months. It's going to be part of the business. It's contemplated.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, that was the only other question that came in. There were no others, so I'm just going to remind those that are still on the video session that the networking, it's been there along the bottom for a while now, but the next part, the last part of this year's investor event is the networking and one-to-one meetings, which will happen on the 3rd of September from 11 to 1 for investor to investor, and for 3 to 5 for investor startups. So please go onto our website, sign up on the investor form if you haven't already. And other than that, guys, well, thank you very much. Just a reminder to the investors that are watching us or that watch it later, that if you ever want any sort of unbiased opinion, we see a lot of mobility startups. We know the teams, some better, some worse, but we know the teams relatively well, so we can give probably an interesting insight into the projects and answer a lot of the questions that you have from a third-party perspective. So feel free to reach out and ask any of us basically in the team, because we're all aware of the different startups within the hub. So thank you guys for taking part today, and have a great August, and we'll see you all on the 3rd of September.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Tom.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.